Hello, everybody, and welcome to the BiGDUG podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you are returning, thank you so much. I'm really glad that you're enjoying our series. And if you're new, this is a series about talking to some of the most inspirational business leaders, mentors, business owners, celebrities, and influencers in the UK. And today we have a very exciting and interesting podcast for you. We're speaking to Amber of Tailored Styling. And I am not going to ruin this. I'm going to hand over to you, Amber, and you can tell everybody what you do. And welcome.
Hello everyone. Thank you for having me. So my business sources rare and hard to find luxury goods for wealthy clients. So a client might come to us and say, I'm looking for this handbag that I can't find in store. And my business would, we would reach out to our contacts wherever the client is based, and try and source that. So sometimes it can be less about the rarity of the object as well, and more about the logistics. So sometimes there could be, a watch maybe that was an Asia exclusive. So it was only available in the Asian boutiques, but we have an American client who wants it. So we would then arrange the logistics of getting that to them.
Amazing. So you have a very interesting business, which has also been featured on Channel 4. And you've had an article in the Daily Mail about what you do. So it comes down to finding things that people can't find.
Yeah, exactly. So we would add a margin. I kind of take whatever the item costs, weigh up how difficult it was to find, the efforts that went into getting it to the client, and price it up from there. So the client is never really aware of the margin, the margin that's being made by the business. We kind of, price it all into one, and put the price forward to the client and say, this is the cost of getting the watch to you, or the bag, whatever they're buying, and then they either decide to kind of buy it or not.
Sure, and I guess that comes in part of the service. You know how to get it, and they don't, so it's just part and parcel of what it is. So, how did you start this?
If I'm honest, it was actually kind of an accident of how I
The best businesses are.
I know, yeah, I guess they are really. Maybe you could say it was meant to be or something. But so I always wanted to be a fashion journalist. That was my obsession when I was a teenager. The devil wears Prada. I want to be the editor of Vogue. That was always my dream. So I went to uni and I studied fashion journalism. And I quickly discovered that it's really not that easy to get a job. If you think how many print magazines there actually are in the UK and how many then entry-level roles would be open at any given time, it's really not easy at all. And as well, this was at a time where print was kind of just moving to online. So it was a really strange time in terms of media as well. So yeah, I very quickly realized it was not that easy to get a job. I took a job at a niche magazine, a niche luxury magazine that had been interning at over uni. They offered me a job as a stylist. So I went there and I kind of worked on the fashion content there. So it was all about the photographs. We would plan the outfits and put together the looks, photograph, all of that kind of thing. But it was independently owned. The editor, funded the magazine, and it did well, but as with most small businesses, there's ups and downs, and I was the last one to come in, so I was the first one to leave.
Oh no.
When things got tough. So it was kind of sprung on me that I didn't really have a job anymore. And I kind of thought, well, what am I going to do now? Like, I'm 20, I think I was 24 or 25 at the time. And I just thought, I don't really want to try and get another job. And my boyfriend at the time kind of said to me, well, why didn't you try and do your own thing? You're young. This now is time to do it. So I thought, let me try and start a personal shopping business. So to begin with, it was going to be more about styling clients. So, taking people on shopping tours where I would help them put together outfits. And as I was doing my research for this business, I used to see this, sourcing service pop up quite often on other people's business pages. So they'd do the shopping tours, and they'd also offer this thing where if you're looking for an item, they would help you find it. So I thought, let me just whack that on the website. Everyone else seems to be doing it. I'll just pop it up there, whatever. So as it kind of developed, I was really struggling to get shopping appointments. I've never had business experience. I've never started a business in my life. So I don't know what I thought, that I would start this website and then people would just flock to my website without really thinking about how people would find me. So yeah, the sourcing service, I'd added that to the website, and I had maybe 1 or 2 inquiries for it. But so what I started doing to speed up the process was a good friend of mine at the time was working in Chanel, and the Chanel espadrilles at the time, was maybe 5 years ago, I think, were, you know, impossible to get. They were so hyped, everyone wanted them. And she would let me know when they came in. And she'd be like, they're here, quick, you need to come now. So I would buy up maybe 3 pairs. It would be as many pairs as my credit card would allow, because I had no cash flow back then. So I'd buy maybe, they were about £450 each, and I'd have
for shoes for everyone listening.
So I'd buy as many pairs as I could, and then I'd sell them on eBay. And then everyone that bought from me, I would say to them, I'm a personal shopper. If you need anything else, you know, come back to me. And I got quite lucky, really, because one of the first people that bought from me on eBay, she was a footballer's wife.
Okay.
For like a relatively decent team. So one thing about the football community is it's very tight knit, and they move around quite a lot. Yeah. So, you know, you get one of the wives, and she, you know, we got on really well. She liked me. She started sending her friends to me.
You get one of the wives, you get all the wives.
Yeah, so you start sending her friends to me, you know, then you start getting the husbands move teams to other teams, then you're exposed to a whole new set of teams. So that was kind of where it started. I would say where it really started to blow up for me and become big, because at this time still I had a part-time job.
And when was this? How long ago was this?
6 years ago, 5-6 years ago. So after leaving my job at the magazine, I did have a part-time job in Selfridges. Actually, I used to work on the shop floor for about 2 years. I did that, and the intention behind that was that maybe I would meet some clients there and I'd be able to take them, but it just kind of didn't work. It just didn't connect. It didn't work.
But I guess we've spoken to quite a few people on here about tipping points. So the tipping point of a business being that you still need to pay your bills and you still need to eat, but at the same time you still need to run your business, and that tipping point between when do you earn enough money from your business to sustain you as a person?
It's exactly that. And I think for me, that point was I managed to get quite a big concierge company. And I managed to do that, if I'm honest, by blagging and saying that I could do things that I had no idea how to do. I told them that I'd sold many Hermes bags and I'd never sold one. I told them that I'd sold many watches and I hadn't. And I think that, you know, you read this a lot when you read books about business, that sometimes you just have to, and an old editor of mine, actually, from the magazine that I was, made redundant from, he always used to say to me, in business, you agree, and then you work out how you're going to do it after.
Say yes and work it out after.
So that's kind of exactly what I did. And so I managed to get this client, and everything I would sell them from there, it was a different level of buyer. So I would say before them, the people that were buying from me, they had money, but they didn't have unlimited money. You know, they still had to think about, they had to think about other things that they needed to buy. It wasn't just, you know, I'm going to buy a £15,000 bag and that's that. But they had access to a higher level of buyer. So what I would then do every time I sold them something, I would put it all over social media. And I even did that before I had them. So I would, you know, back in the day when I didn't really have clients, I used to order things from websites that you could return to, and I would take pictures of things and put it on social media and be like, oh, I sourced this for my client. I didn't have a client, you know, back then, but it's that, it's the social proof, you know, if you put things up, people are like, okay, she can do this, and maybe I'll send someone to her.
So what's interesting then, so because we've spoken to quite a few people about social as well, talk about the importance of social media in your business and how it's helped grow it.
It's been kind of essential. It's been absolutely essential, and to the point where I'm horrified about the thought of my Instagram being deleted. I've actually had dreams, nightmares let's call them nightmares. I've had nightmares about my social media being deleted because it would completely stop my access to new people. So when I got this, you know, big client that I was referring to, I then started posting everything that I was selling to them on Instagram. And then people really started to become impressed, like, wow, these are really big things. So for example, you know, a Birkin, even just a leather Birkin, is about £15,000 upwards. An entry level Rolex is about, you know, at the time, one of the main watches I was selling to them was about £8,000. It's now gone up in value so much because it's discontinued that I'm selling them for about 16,000. And the prices just go up and up and up. Like, I would say the most expensive, you know, watch that I've ever sold was over £200,000.
200 grand for a watch. I mean, people say invest in the stock market in gold, but they're probably best off buying a leather bag, aren't they? From a French fashion house.
They hold their value. If you buy the right thing, they do hold their value. But back to what you were saying about social media, that's how I find most of my clients. So it's so important. And now what I'm kind of struggling with, where the business has grown, it's not just me anymore. It's, you know, me, and I've got one person that works for me. I've got somebody else that I contract to do my social media. They completely have taken over that. But what's happening now is, with my personal Instagram, I also make sales from that. I don't even have time anymore to post on there because I'm so busy. I remember a day when I used to sit on my laptop and just look for things to do because I didn't have that many things to do. So I used to think, oh God, when am I going to get clients? When am I going to be busy? Now it's like I can't even find a minute in the day to be posting on social media. So
that's part of a successful business though, Amber.
Yeah, so it's at that stage now where you have to really learn. It's not about dragging clients in anymore. It's about learning how to structure the business so that it can effectively grow and manage the level of inquiries that we're getting.
So you've grown, which is amazing. Obviously, your phone's ringing, probably another client looking for a bag or what do you need?
The annoying thing is it's attached to my MacBook, so I never miss anything, so it's very loud and annoying.
How has COVID been, the pandemic, for you and your business? And so let's go there first. So how's the pandemic been? People aren't going out. You know, they don't have the need, I guess, to buy fancy dresses and bags and shoes and watches, or do they?
Well, funnily enough, when everything was first announced, naturally I was quite panicked, and I thought, oh gosh, how am I going to sell things? Even to the point where we didn't know what was going to happen. I thought, well, what if DHL stops operating? Like, how am I going to get things to people? Are people even going to want to buy things? What's going to happen? Am I going to be able to pay people that work for me? But I very quickly realized that actually, in terms of the different types of clients that I have, the clients with less spending power, so maybe those people that enjoy luxury but have to think about what they buy, they were actually not going out and spending money on holidays. They're not spending money on eating out. They're not spending money on, you know, a cost of coffee every day. So they've actually saved quite a lot of money that they can then use to put into things that they actually want in terms of clothes. So those people have more money to spend. And then, of course, the super, super wealthy, a pandemic does not affect those types of people. So I think I kind of got lucky in the sense that, you know, when your business serves wealthy people and you're aiming, you know, at a much higher price point, you're kind of not affected by recessions.
Economic downturns.
Really. So I've in fact actually done better from the pandemic. You know, my heart really goes out to all those people that I see struggling, and at the moment I really try and do my bit. So I've stopped kind of buying from bigger businesses in terms of my like personal purchases. I try and support smaller business, even if it's like I'm buying soap, I'm buying gifts, whatever. I try and support like smaller businesses.
Sure.
I've really done quite well because, especially in the UK, we're still in lockdown right now.
Yep.
We've been in lockdown for how many months? People can't go out and shop. People are bored out of their mind. If you've got money in your bank account still, what else is there for you to do? Watch Netflix and buy things.
Yeah, true.
So I'm actually, you know, I'm selling more than I was.
Well, good for you. Well done. Congratulations. Yeah. That's amazing.
It's really good. I'm
So it
very
leads on to what's the
grateful.
future? I'm assuming just keep growing, keep going.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, just keep growing and growing. I'm finding my kind of international client base is growing a lot. So it'd be really good to develop my overseas network. At the moment, it tends to be a lot of dragging friends into helping me with shipping things. So say I've got a client in Singapore, I've got a few friends there. If I found something that's there, I kind of call them and say, please take in this package for me. I really need your help. So I think it would just be a case of like setting up official entities in other cities just to grow the way that I serve clients.
Here's a really interesting question for you then, which
Go
is
on.
slightly economic, slightly political. How has Brexit affected you with regards to import and exporting and getting things like, so
It's
the
definitely,
cost of shipping and then the time it takes and
yeah,
the
it's
paperwork and the
definitely been difficult.
legality?
It's definitely been difficult. So whereas before I was able to buy a lot in Europe and it made my life a lot easier, what I've kind of had to do is, if I'm buying something that's in Europe and it's not staying in the UK, I would then find a way for it not to even come to the UK. So I'm putting a lot more trust in my suppliers and only working with people who I really, really trust so that I can then have them ship directly for me. So with most items, before, what I was doing is have them come to me and I can check it first before I could send it to the client. So it kind of gives me a bit more flexibility to buy from new people that I've not worked with before, because I know that it's coming to me first. And if there was an issue, it won't make it to the client. Whereas now I'm having to just, be a bit more creative and just work with a select few people that I know are responsible and I trust them to send out an item that's in the condition that it should be in, and they ship it direct to my client.
And I
Because
guess
you're
that's
then,
a huge risk, isn't it? Because let's just
it's
say
a
you're
risk.
buying a 20 grand bag,
Yeah.
you don't know whether it's damaged or you don't even know whether it's counterfeit.
Yeah, it has to be people that you really trust, and there is just a select few people that I trust who I know their processes are thorough enough to send a bag to one of my clients direct. The other thing that makes it a risk is you're opening yourself up for your clients to then be poached, because that's quite a thing in this industry. If I'm asking somebody to drop ship for me and send direct, there's nothing to stop them from slipping a little business card in the box and trying to take my client. So you really do have to then only work with people that you really trust, that know, respect you and what you do, and they respect your relationship more than kind of making a quick sale outside of you. In terms of timeframes with Brexit, it's, to begin with, obviously it was a bit annoying, and I had quite a few packages that got stuck and there were delays and things like this, but I think it's kind of coming to a point where the process is in place now, so we know how long things are going to take and we know what timeframes to specify so clients aren't disappointed.
Sure. Crazy times, isn't it? Like crazy, weird world we live in, and having to adjust your business and adapt. And
I mean, I'm wondering, I'm still trying to work out what the benefit of Brexit was for anyone. Because
well, we voted for it.
I mean, I can't see it at all. It's definitely not made my life easier, but I've just had to adapt and find ways around it. But there's definitely people that I now can't buy from. And there's definitely sales that I'm priced out of, because say I've got a client in the UK who's looking for a bag and I find it in Europe, I then need to you have to add 20% import VAT. And then if it's staying in the UK, you need to add another 20% VAT. So essentially, it's really pricey. So it's essentially adding, if you're in the UK, 40% to some of my prices, when the price is already inflated. If you're selling a bag that was £8,000 in the store and the client's paying 15 and they now have to pay 40% on top, well, they're going to say no. I'll get it from someone else if I can.
Yeah, sure. Christ.
Or they just don't buy it, because some of these bags you can't find anywhere else, so they're just kind of priced out.
Yeah, that is crazy.
What I'm finding handy is, some of the wealthier clients, they quite often have more than one property. So if I can find something that's in a country they have a property in, you just have to be a bit creative and say, okay, well, I find one here, you're going to have to receive it in your house here.
Sure. Oh, the world they live in, the world we live in.
I know.
There's lots of people worrying about paying their mortgage, and they're worried about which house they can go to in Europe.
Which house they're going to send their new Birkin to.
But that's the world they live in, and that's the world that you operate in, and it's I think it's fascinating. I think everyone listening.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah, and I think everyone listening will be fascinated as well that like this happens.
It does. It has been happening. It was happening before COVID. It's continuing to happen, during COVID. People still want these things.
Sure. I mean, you see like the art world, right? And people go to like Sotheby's and Christie's and they're buying their £1 million paintings and that. But this is just, this is another extension of their life. They want a very, very expensive watch because they're bored and they see it on a magazine one day and they ring you and say, I have to have this.
Yeah, I think it's also the same way that art is sometimes an investment. Sometimes people have money that they want to put into art because they don't want it to go elsewhere. They'll put it into a painting and have it sitting there. They do the same thing with watches or collectible bags, and watches especially do, if you pick the right one, they do appreciate in value. So there's a particular Patek Philippe watch that maybe 2 years ago I was quoting people £95,000 for. And now it's worth 150,000.
Wow, that's
so. If you'd bought that 2 years ago and just whacked it in a safe and not touched it, you've just made £55,000.
More money than you probably make on your house if you did it up and added a bathroom.
Yeah. So I do.
Crazy,
I often get clients come to me and say, I've got X amount. What should I buy for an investment?
Wow, fascinating. Really, really is.
Yeah.
So before we go, what's been the most popular thing that you've sold recently? Like what's everybody trying to get hold of?
Well, the PlayStation 5 for one has been, absolutely nuts, which is, sometimes there'll be the odd thing. Generally I specialize in luxury fashion, so watches, clothing, jewelry, bags, things like that. But on the odd occasion where there's something that's particularly collectible or hyped, we'll branch out to other things. So PlayStation 5 has been a massive one, especially over Christmas. I was selling so many of those.
Which is where obviously we've worked together at BiGDUG because you procured one for us for our competition,
exactly.
which did really well.
I'm trying to think. Birkins are always one of my best sellers. I think they always will be. There's a few Rolex models that were released last year that are, really collectible because they're new editions. So I've been selling a lot of those.
Cool. And I've asked everyone this that comes on, that business owners where they've started their own business. What advice would you give to somebody wanting to start a business?
It's funny that you asked this because, you mentioned that I was featured in a Channel 4 video, and off the back of that video, I actually had such an influx of girls and guys as well, but mostly young girls, in their teenage years, messaging me saying, well, I want to do what you do. How do I do it? How do I do it? And my answer to that is just start. Just start. Like, don't overthink it. Just do it. Just start posting something, because the longer you spend thinking, oh well, what's my strategy? What do I do? Just try something. And this is all I did. Like I didn't have a clue. If I'm being honest, I didn't have a clue about business. I didn't have a clue how to build a client base. I just knew that I liked Birkins and Rolexes. I just liked nice things. And from there, I just kind of tried something and thought, well, that didn't work. Let me try this. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try this. That failed miserably. Okay, let me try this. Oh, that kind of worked. Let me do a bit more of that. So I think people are quite hesitant to start something. They think, oh, well, it's not the right time. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to learn or do this course before I do it. Just do it.
Sure. Amazing. Thank you so much. This has just been fascinating to listen to, and I'm sure that everyone listening is going to be absolutely mind-boggled and fascinated at the same time, which I'm sure you get quite a lot.
Yeah, sometimes. I think it's because the level of spend is just so far removed for a lot of people. It's fascinating. Even I find it fascinating, to be honest.
Yeah, but what a crazy world that you live in, or you sometimes live in with with your business. Thank you, Amber, so much. And for everyone listening, Amber from Tailored Styling. Please check her out. Taylord. Is that right?
Tailo, like a tailored suit.
Oh, it's like a tailored suit. Tailored
Styling.
Styling. Check her out. She's on Instagram, obviously, and on the online on the internet. And have a look at all the amazing stuff she does. And I mean, if you have any reason to contact Amber, please do. She will find everything and anything for you.
Oh.
And yeah, thank you again for listening to the BiGDUG podcast. We hope that you found this insightful, fascinating, interesting, and we really hope that you continue to like and subscribe to our podcasts. We will be back next week with somebody just as intriguing and fascinating in the business world. And until then, thank you very much and goodbye.